goes this movie gives me feelings. Feelings brings happiness, so it brings me happiness.
Purple check. Purple check. Purple check.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Which language do you want to speak?
English is okay. Everybody gonna speak English, no? Or there's
We're gonna check out. We're gonna speak Korean, I think. We're gonna speak Korean. We're gonna speak in English too.
English is okay. Hi. Hello. Hi. Nice to meet you. Darko. Nice to meet you. Hello. Nice to meet you. Darko. Nice to meet you. Okay. So you're gonna sit here. Okay. Perfect. Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Just you, the audience.
Yeah, and you're again.
Some crowds.
Want something to drink? You have enough of that?
Yeah, I already told Katya, I think she's gonna bring me some water.
Well, we're waiting for the two last ones. Should be complete.
Perfect. What's that? Okay.
So, everybody, do you want to drink something? Because this is for you. I knew already, but I don't know for the others. Do you want to drink something?
Mr. Johnson.
Christian, do you want to drink something?
Yeah, I already gave a ticket away to get the water.
Someone, okay? Just a surprise for you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Well,
If you don't know, it's gonna be hard to explain.
Don't you dare. Whatever you're thinking, don't do it.
We have to follow because of camera. Can you go onto your seat?
Hong-jin or Blanc?
Or donnez-moi. Nobody said any questions anyway. Hello, I'm Darko. What's your name? Sorry? Steve.
Comme ça, je suis sûre en français, poser des questions. Voilà.
Non, on peut en faire en anglais, mais là je me suis
It was actually fun.
Oui, voilà.
Like a 3-hour interview? It was fun. That's much fun.
On vous les a mis ensemble.
Moi j'ai celle-là.
On fait fort pour rester pour des raisons de caméra.
we can stay on this side of this one, or just the other side.
Basically, just continue now.
What you want to do?
We listen.
No, it's fine.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Not to cross that line because of the... And we can tell
1, 2, 1, 2.
2 minutes, 3 minutes.
1, 2, si les micros fonctionnent. Demande 1, 2, voilà. Voilà, bonsoir à tous. Goedenavond iedereen. Le jury du Q&A, le jury international Q&A va commencer dans 2 minutes. N'hésitez pas à vous rapprocher. Dus de Q&A van de internationale jury zal in 2 minuten beginnen. Kom een beetje bij ons en we wachten voor jullie.
It's like in...
I watched Remakes. Most of them are just
If someone wants to ask a question in their language, it's fine.
it's really
We don't do it exhaustively.
gets busy after this.
Becomes a balcony. Yes, and Marjorie.
We can fix it up.
This is international.
Exactly. So there's a 5 minute.
Well fed. So you met
One of us is from Belgium.
I don't think so. Actually,
last jury members.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
So, actually,
Boring!
although it's originally from France.
Approchez, le Q&A du jury va commencer dans 1 minute. Venez nous rejoindre, c'est toujours un Q&A très amusant, très marrant et très intéressant pour les fans de films.
Dus over enkele minuten begint de Q&A met de internationale jury. Kom er maar bij zitten.
Please don't make
Sunday. Sunday.
Yeah. Saturday is every single Saturday for all of you.
And we did it.
check. Check.
하나 둘.
Check.
Voilà, bonsoir tout le monde. Nous allons commencer le Q&A du jury international, événement qui est toujours très attendu. Nous avons avec nous comme président du jury Steve Johnson, qui est évidemment un spécialiste des effets spéciaux, que vous avez tous pu voir son travail dans des films comme Abyss, Predator, Species 2, et évidemment le plus connu, c'est l'invention du slime avec Ghostbusters. Monsieur Johnson se trouve au milieu en tout cas de l'Assemblée ici. Vous avez à ma gauche Yoann Blanc, que vous avez tous pu voir dans La Trêve, 2e saison, qui est en cours actuellement notamment. Vous avez à côté de Monsieur Yoann Blanc Christian Alvart, qui est un réalisateur allemand que vous aurez pu voir, en tout cas pour un épisode de Tator, notamment Dogs of Berlin, Don't Get Out ou Pandorum avec Dennis Quaid. Vous avez Monsieur Hong-jin, sud-coréen, réalisateur qui a fait The Waiting, The Chaser, Yellow Sea, et on a pu voir tous les films durant cette semaine déjà en rétrospective. Et last but not least, Darko Peric, que vous connaissez tous, notamment pour son rôle Helsinki dans La Casa de Papel. Bonsoir à tous, welcome.
Donc le Q&A va se dérouler en grande partie en anglais, en petite partie en français également. Q&A zal vooral in het Engels plaatsvinden, een klein beetje ook in het Frans. Maar natuurlijk indien u een vraag wenst te stellen in uw eigen taal, mag dat altijd.
Première question que je vais demander, je vais la poser en anglais parce que finalement, eh bien, c'est un peu une question pour tout le monde. So the first question and first. Thank you for being with us. First question is for everybody. You all have a career in the film industry. Why did you decide to work in the film industry?
Me, let's think. I came out of my mother's womb wanting to make movies and to make monsters. So there's nothing I've ever wanted to do other than create things and be involved in the creative industry. That's my answer.
Monsieur Leblanc, peut-être. Qu'est-ce qui vous a intéressé dans... Monsieur Blanc,
for you.
votre choix pour devenir acteur?
C'est une grande question. Moi, à la base, je voulais pas vraiment faire d'image. J'adorais jouer au théâtre, donc c'est pour faire du théâtre. Et puis, je suis venu à l'image un peu plus tard et j'ai découvert que c'était super. Mais à la base, c'était acteur que je voulais être. Je n'avais pas vraiment le choix d'être dans l'industrie, disons, du cinéma. Voilà.
Yeah, I'm like him, not out of the womb, but as
No,
soon...
you're not. You're nothing like me.
But as soon as I realized, I love movies, but as soon as I realized that there is someone making them, that my mind was blown. I was like, okay, there's a person telling this story, and then I checked out other directors, and then I was 12, I told everybody I was going to be a director. It's like in my school book, everybody knew I was going to do that in my childhood. So...
특별히 사회에서 어떤 담당할 역할 이런 게 주어지지가 않았어요. 그래서 어떻게 흘러가다 보니까 이거 하게 된 것 같습니다.
I didn't feel pressured from society I didn't feel a certain pressure to perform a certain role. But I think that I just naturally flowed into the role of being a director.
Yeah, please.
Speak really in front of the microphone to be sure that you can be heard.
Then we can...
Yeah, this one is working perfectly, I think, no? Okay, for me it's really simple, why I became an actor, because I really didn't want to work, So it's just like, this is perfect, I'm waiting most of the time, and when I'm acting, I don't call it work, I'm just playing, so it's...
Yeah, but acting is the hardest job on any film set.
Yeah,
I know that.
I know. The friend
Nobody
of
else
mine,
knows it, but you
DOP,
know it.
told me, "Oh fuck, man, you're
Especially
actor,
for
you're
those who
kidding,
teams up with you, Mr. Johnson. Especially for those who teams up with you and have to wear your prosthetic. I think.
Yeah, sure.
I was going to ask Mr. Blanc the same question. Do you agree with him? Acting is not a lot of work?
Do I still have to lie?
Vous êtes d'accord avec
Do I lie or do I tell the truth? If I lie, I will say it's easy, a bit boring to wait. Waiting is boring. No,
They
I
pay
think
us.
it,
They
it
pay us
depends
for waiting,
with who you're waiting with, right? But no, it's not. Well, it can be comfortable, but it's a lot of work still, no? But it's easier than to be a director.
I mean,
For sure.
there's one famous quote, no? The actors, we are paid for waiting, you know. When we are acting, we are playing. They are paying us for just waiting, you know. I don't know, in my case, you know. I hate waiting, you know, so I said,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I thought I was paid to play, but maybe I was paid to wait.
Either way, it sounds like you people all have very different jobs in the end, although you're in the same industry. So I was going to ask Mr. Johnson, what about your job? It's kind of specific in the end. Has it evolved a lot in time since you started?
If one more person asks me about digital technology today, I'm going to implode. Of course it's changed, but I don't want to answer that question right now. We all know that digital technology is the vein through which the future of entertainment is going to flow. We all know that. And it's totally affected, obviously, it's totally affected my industry.
But I didn't mean specifically digital technology. I mean for you as an individual, did you have times in your career when you thought, okay, now I really need to adapt to changing things, technology?
I'm constantly adapting. I'm constantly changing. I mean, my job is to worry, basically, first and foremost. It's to be in panic mode at all times, because if I don't panic about anything and everything that can go wrong, then it will go wrong. So it's a terrible, terrible job. I wouldn't recommend it to any of you out there that are, if you're actually listening, don't do it.
You seem to be doing a good job anyway. So.
Yes, that's
Thank you
right.
very much.
That's right. Maybe another question for all of you. So we talked about why or how you become someone in the film industry. Now, who was your model? Qui était votre modèle éventuellement pour choisir cette carrière? Who was your model to choose this career?
I didn't have actually any role model, you know. I tell you, I start doing theater in the school, you know. I'm from Serbia, so I used to live in Yugoslavia then, you know. It was like socialist country, so there was not so many private theater schools, you know. It was just like state university. So I was like not really for the school, so I didn't go to the university at all. So I moved to Germany and I started to do the performances in the squads. Actually, I was into the punk scene. And I don't know, somehow when I saw in early 90s, like first Tarantino movies, and you know, and I started to read about that, you know, the guy who was working in a video club and just was big fan. That's kind of my case, you know. I just like to watch lots of movies, Series B, all the John Waters movie, and all the trash movies that you can imagine, you know, Trauma and all that, you know. And I don't know, then I saw like Danny Trejo. For me, it was really big inspiration, you know. So that's my case, you know. I'm not a classical theater guy, you know. It's just more like for me, cinema is fun, you know. So role models, okay. Let's say Danny Trejo, no.
Thank you.
옆에 계신 우리 스티브 존스 선생님이 제 모델이었네요. 이제
MOC.
A dream has come true, obviously.
Let me just say that Steve sitting here next to me was my inspiration.
That's very sweet of you.
What about you, Mr. Johnson? You have it?
네,
That's it.
That's the
So,
best
Mr.
answer
Johnson,
ever.
it's your turn.
Well, you know, I grew up on classic Universal films from the 30s, the horror films, and also the Hammer films from England. But what, you know, the classic makeup effects gurus like Dick Smith, who did The Godfather and The Exorcist, and then his protege, Dick's, was Rick Baker, And I ended up working with Rick Baker on many movies, including American Werewolf in London. He gave me my start in the business. And I also worked with one of his proteges. It's a weird, twisted family, the makeup effects industry. Rob Bottin, who did the practical effects for The Thing.
The one of The Thing.
Yeah, Greg Canham, who did Mrs. Doubtfire. Everybody has a million Oscars except me. All my people I've worked with have so many Oscars, they use them for doorstops now. And that's who inspired me.
Thank you. Mr. Alvart.
For me, it's constantly evolving. Like every year, there's someone else who's impressing me. But when I first started to really pay attention to directors, to find out what I want to do, it was someone like Luc Besson, who inspired me a lot. Who, you know, when he made
who refused to sing, by the way, at this show.
The Grand Bleu, Nikita, and Leon, you know, were 3 movies in a row where I think is a perfect row of 3 movies. So that was the first when I was younger to really look up to. But then I studied, you know, went back in time. I really still think Hitchcock is super impressive, even though that's might be boring. But even my kids, you know, they're like, we want to see another Hitchcock. And, you know, my wife is not so fond of that because there's a lot of murder. But, you know, it's you learn from everybody and it's constantly evolving.
Monsieur Blanc.
Good answer.
Well, that's hard to say because every time I meet somebody, I say, "Oh, okay, this guy is neat. It's very nice what he's doing." So it's like now I want to do what he's doing. So it's changing everything. No, I'm easy impressed. Voilà, exactly. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's so I can have an easy response too.
I have maybe another question that's for all of you. You have another job right now during this festival. You have another job, which is being members of the jury. Have you done this before? And also, what are you expecting to see in movies? What are you looking forward to see in movies that you're going to judge?
I'll answer first. We can't talk. You know, we can't talk about what we're looking forward to for the movies that are actually being considered. We can't talk about that, but we can talk about the ones that aren't. First of all, I'd like to say that this jury is so unique. All different people coming from different countries and that do different jobs. And I think when we have had a couple of private conversations, it's really interesting and it makes the jury better because we all come from different countries, we speak different languages, and we do different jobs, and it, I think, is a better way to judge these films. I really think it makes a lot of difference. But the movies here, the ones we're not considering, are amazing. I was just asked in an interview earlier that, what was the scariest movie you've ever seen? And I would have said, before this week, I would have said Roman Polanski's The Tenant, tied with The Exorcist, but now it's I Trapped the Devil, which I saw here, which is fucking unbelievable.
Well, maybe staying in this theme question and not speaking about a film of the Biff, and certainly not the one you have to choose, every one of you can maybe answer that question too. Which movie was the last one you saw and that amazed you? Like, yeah, you were totally...
You mean here at the festival?
No, not at the festival, just to avoid tricky question.
Shall I start? You guys are never going to get to talk. The one that I saw that absolutely astounded me recently is a Netflix project called Love, Death, Robots. I can't stop thinking about it. I accidentally ran into the visual effects supervisor for one of the episodes when I was in Dublin, and it's the best digital animation I've ever seen in recreating people. So how weird was that? But one of the episodes has actually a little bit changed my life. It's really, really great. Love, Death, Robots. Listen, you guys aren't listening. Love, Death, Robots, Netflix.
Yeah, write it down. Mr. Peric.
I'm trying to thinking about recently, I'm actually last few months I'm working really a lot, and I don't really have a time I'm working for Netflix, but I actually don't have really time to watch Netflix, But I can send one that is classic, and I saw it like a few weeks ago, and it's Fellini Satyricon. For me, it was, again, just like, I saw it when I was younger, and I saw that movie, it's just like 50 years ago, and what they was doing then without digital and all that, you see the real...
You have to keep bringing that up.
No, it's just amazing, man. I don't know. and then of course, I saw a few movies that they sent me from this festival. But yeah, I would say that one for me, and it's classic, you know. So.
Mr. Na.
생각이 안 나네요. 그냥 최근에 여기 오기 전에 최근에 극장 가서 본 영화가 그 어스라는 영화였는데 뭐 그거밖에 본 게 없는 것 같아가지고 예, 그 영화 재밌었던 것 같아요.
한국 영화죠? This is a really hard question. It's hard for me to come up with just one film, but the most recent film I watched in the theaters was Us, and I had a lot of fun watching that.
Mr. Alvart or Monsieur Blanc?
I'm usually surprised because I am kind of bored with mainstream movies lately. I don't know why, they just don't grab me. So I was really surprised when I watched in my home theater because I was super late. But I watched the second Planet of the Apes, The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and I was so happy to see a big budget movie that really was great. That was a long
talking
time
about the new one, right?
Yeah, it's not
digital.
The War. Yeah, the new one. I love the old one.
That series is unbelievably cool.
Yeah, so I was happy because, you know, I expect surprise and originality from low budget and genre films like Mandy I liked. I mean, I saw many, but to see a very expensive movie to move me again, that was rare. So I want to mention that one.
Monsieur Blanc?
Well, it's easy because the last movie I really liked was yesterday, and it's The Stranger from from her friend here, and I saw it yesterday and I really loved it, and it was the last one I really loved.
Yeah, there was a retrospectivity from all the movie. A good trailer. So talking about Hong-jin and thriller, you first directed two thriller, Strangers or The Yellow Sea and The Chaser, and then it was a thriller with a little bit of supernatural, which is The Waiting. And why did you suddenly decided to add supernatural to your thriller?
저희 그 2년 전에 대통령 탄핵된 거 아세요?
Did you know that Korea just removed their former president 2 years ago through protests? That South Korea had.
No, I didn't know it.
Okay, yeah, through civilian protests, they had removed the former president.
그러니까 그 사람의 정권 때 이 영화를 만든 건데 굉장히 사회적으로 막 너무 막 무섭기도 하고. 막 암울하고 막 더러운 어떤 느낌들을 받았는데 이런 느낌들을 영화로 표현하고 싶었어요. 근데 하려고 하다 보니까 초전적인 이 슈퍼내추럴한 이런 느낌들이 이렇게 표현하는 게 가장 이상적이겠더라고요. 이 느낌을 표현하려면 그렇게 했습니다.
So when I was making The Wailing, it was exactly that period when there were a lot of civilian protests, the candlelight protests, as a lot of people know them, were happening. And it was a really dark and depressing time in Korean modern history, politically. So I was of course influenced by this darkness and depression. And in the film that I was making, I also wanted to project it. And somehow that expression came out as supernatural.
Peut-être qu'entre-temps, le moment est venu de demander s'il y a des questions dans le public. N'hésitez pas.
Vous avez une vraie réunion publique ici devant, voilà.
Ici devant.
Good evening. I have a question for Mr. Steve Johnson.
Yes, sir.
I don't think my question is directly linked to the evolving of technology, so if it is, you're allowed to throw something at me.
Okay, it's actually something physical. I think it might be this.
Okay. Well, my question is, there is, since already a few years, some directors who believe in the revival and the real prosthetic and physical effects. Do you think that actually going back to the roots of the physical effects might be the future of movies?
No, not at all. Not at all. We are like ostriches with our heads in the sand if we think practical effects are ever going to return or ever replace digital effects. People want to think that. The reason it's coming back now is because all of the directors that are making Star Wars and the Guillermo del Toro's and Tim Burton's, grew up watching practical effects. So now they're making movies and they want to put practical effects in their movies. So no, I hate to be so fatalist about it, but I honestly don't think it's going to come back. I think that it's going to happen in the real world. There are robotic shows like Walking with Dinosaurs. There's an Australian company that makes the giant dinosaurs. Disney is now doing amazing robots. They've got stuntmen, robotic stuntmen now that Disney has designed. There's all kinds of real-world applications for this kind of stuff, but for films, it's always going to come down to how cheap it is, how much time does it take, and can we keep fucking with you on the design, because you can. When you do it digitally, you've got months and months and months, but when we make something practically, the minute the director says cut, it's done. You know what I mean? So there's more control digitally. Whether it's better or not is a matter of opinion. It's a stylistic choice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Zijn er vragen?
Encore des questions dans le
Voilà.
public?
Bonjour, excusez-moi, en fait j'ai pas vraiment de question mais je voudrais dire quelque chose à monsieur Hong-jin. Si quelqu'un pouvait le traduire ce serait chouette. Ok, super. Monsieur Hong-jin, vous êtes mon réalisateur préféré. J'ai vu la quasi-totalité de vos films et je peux vous dire que à chaque fois je suis toujours en larmes devant ces films tellement qu'ils sont magnifiques. Merci à vous. Oh, et si vous avez besoin d'un acteur, je vais vous passer ma carte.
Est-ce qu'il y a encore des questions ou des remarques dans le public? Voilà, là-bas. Monsieur avec la casquette Ghostbusters.
Ouais. Bonjour, ce serait pour une question pour monsieur Steve Johnson.
Ah, bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Mais je parle pas anglais.
I see you like Ghostbusters.
Yes. Du coup, ma question c'était par rapport à Bouffetou, le temps que vous avez mis à le faire, Slimer. Combien de temps il a mis pour faire Slimer?
How much time did it take to create a slime, just like the one I put in front of your neck? The real one, the one we saw in your film, the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that took forever. I was delusional when I started designing Slimer. I just expected Ivan Reitman, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd to love my first Slimer. But of course they didn't. So I sculpted Slimer and another Slimer and another Slimer and another Slimer and another Slimer for 4 months. They would say, make his nose bigger. And I'd make his nose bigger and they'd say, make it smaller. And then they said, put ears on him. And then they'd say, take his ears off. And then they would say, give him 13% more pathos. And I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? And on the last night, when it was meant to be approved finally, so we could figure out what color to make it, how big his teeth should be, I got a note from Dan Aykroyd saying, make him look more like John Belushi. And I'm like, and now you're telling me? Now, the last night. Because Slimer was meant to be, it was an homage to John Belushi. I don't know if you know this story, do you? I can never shut up about this story.
Donc en fait, ça a pris une éternité. Il a fait 36 versions. Il pensait, il rêvait, il pensait que ça allait être facile, mais en fait c'était
un hommage.
Complètement planté. C'était un hommage effectivement. Alors ils l'ont dit, fais son nez plus gros et puis son nez plus petit. Et puis fait qu'il ressemble. Dan Aykroyd lui a dit, fais en sorte qu'il ressemble plus à John Belushi, ou qu'il ait 13% de plus de pathétique. Enfin des trucs complètement absurdes. Et finalement ça a pris des mois et voilà.
Merci, thanks.
Est-ce qu'il y a encore des questions dans le public? Voilà.
I got a question for Mr. Hong-jin. I would like to know, I really appreciate your movie, The Wailing. I appreciated all your movies, but I saw it again yesterday evening. And there is different ways to understand, believe, or interpret your movie. And I would like to know if, as you, on your personal, is it that evil? Is it something you believe in a supernatural way, or is it something that has only a human source, of both?
Good question.
이건 되게 복잡한 얘기인데 되게 얘기가 길어질 것 같아서 여기서 이렇게 말씀드려도 될지 모르겠는데 뭐 짧게 말씀드릴 수가 없는데 뭐 이 자리를 빌어서 하여튼 이 자리에서 말씀드릴게요. 그래도 말씀을 드리자면 거기에 나오는 악은 해석 보시는 분에 따라서 다른 존재가 될 거예요. 뭐 이게 이 영화에는 몇 가지의 캐릭터들이 나오는데 이 중에서 진짜 악이 무엇인지는 아마 문화권에 따라서 굉장히 다른 결론이 날 것 같아요. 그걸 바랬어요. 왜냐면은 객석에 앉아 계신 한국 같은 경우엔 객석에 앉아 계신 이 관객의 종교가 다 각기 다르거든요. 그분들에 다 맞는 그런 영화가 되기를 바랬기 때문에 그렇게 디자인했던 것 같습니다.
I think you're asking a very complex question about faith and how people perceive evil. But the short answer is that I think the interpretation of those two concepts are different for everyone. There are all these different characters who have different beliefs themselves about these concepts, and you see how they change, their ideas change throughout the arc of the story. But I think that the biggest influence for these concepts is actually cultural. And just for the Korean audience, when I was thinking about how do they perceive evil or faith, belief, I was always thinking about the different religious backgrounds that people would come with, or even the rejection that they would have of religion, and I would try to balance those perceptions in the story.
Thank you very much.
On va revenir un petit peu à des questions maintenant pour le jury qu'on va poser. Maybe a question for the actors now. What was the most challenging experience you had on a set?
Thinking now, most challenging was always the action scenes are most for me, like shootings or fightings, or considering my physique, you can imagine the roles that I'm playing. Mostly is that's a criminal or Viking or something like that. So yeah, for me, particularly one was a shooting scene in the summer that we had like 9 hours in the south of Spain on the coast. I was completely sunburned, even if we had lots of cream and everything, and and there's prosthesis and everything, and that was pain in the ass, so that one.
Je vais le faire en français. Le plus challenging, ça reste d'avoir fait 250 scènes en 63 jours, mais je crois que finalement, the most challenging was to play in German. I don't speak German, and I play in a German movie, so I was playing a phonetic, and I didn't understand anything whatsoever people were talking about on the set, and I have to try to rape the principal actress, and it was my first day, and I don't really know what I was talking about. And I had to play this thing, and I think that was maybe the worst thing to play. And the actress was very nice, so it was awful.
And you had no translation of the script or something?
Yeah, I know, but they were talking, so they were changing stuff, I didn't know really what was going on. And it lasts like for 10 days or 12 days, so it was kind of strange.
Okay, hang on, I have a question for Christian. What was your worst experience on set?
I had so many to choose from. I think the most problematic was when I was shooting in Moscow, and there was
in Russia.
In Russia, Moscow.
In Russian.
No, not in Russian. Well, I was shooting some stuff in Russian, but that's not a problem because I knew what the script was saying. And no, but there was this one day where we had to close down the main road and had some explosions and actions and everything, and the time was way too short already. So I said, okay, let's meet 2 hours early to go over every shot to make sure that we can get it in like the 10 hours we have. And then I arrived, and then they said, you know, some Putin cologne is going to come through here, so you can't shoot. I'm like, never? And they said, no, we'll tell you. And we had to wait 5 hours. So it was midnight when I started shooting, and it was already a short day. So I was like, bam, 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 going over everything. And at 5 a.m., the bus would come and would just basically kick us off the street. We shot until 5 a.m., got everything, and I lay down on the street for like 15 minutes, just breathing. It was the worst day ever. I shot a 14-hour material in like 5 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah, crazy, understand. I return the question to you, Mr. Steve Johnson, and to Mr. Now.
My worst experience on set, there are so many. This industry...
That's what I'm saying.
It's impossible. I mean, you spend 5 minutes with James Cameron, you want to slit your wrist. So The Abyss was very difficult, but I'll give you a funnier story. I worked with Don Rickles. I love Don Rickles on a John Landis movie called Innocent Blood, and we made these ridiculously kind of scientific, huge, hard contact lenses that actually, in camera, glowed and changed color. And the ocularist, the doctor that was supposed to put them in poor Don's eyes, got sleepy and went home. And men don't get sleepy, they get tired. So I had to put them in Don's eyes, and Don is just the most amazing comedian on set, because his job, just like Robin Williams, he feels like even when the camera's not on him, he's entertaining the crew. So it's like, I'm good at contact lenses. I can get a tennis shoe in a squirrel's eye, right? But Don's an older gentleman, and it was so hard to get the lens in. It was like, everybody's watching me on set, and I'm thinking, we're not going to be able to get this thing done. I finally get one lens in, and Don breaks the anxiety by turning to the entire crew and goes, I feel like a fag pirate. And it's always about timing with Don, because he's not funny, it's his timing is perfect.
Thank you for this experience. Mr. Na?
제가 황해를 찍을 때 중국에서 촬영을 해야 될 일이 있었는데 중국 촬영은 심의를 받아야 돼요. 퍼밋을 받아야 되는 상황인데 황해의 올바른 시나리오로는 심의가 안 나올 것 같아서 저희가 똑같은 상황과 인물이 나오는 멜로 드라마 시나리오를 아예 하나 만들었어요. 그래서 그거를 심의를 받은 거죠. 그래서 저희가 촬영을 하려고 이제 중국 주정부에 이제 허가서를 이제 승인을 받으려고 갔더니 심의서를 가지고 거기 정보국의 분께서 저희 스태프한테 한국에서 나온 그 황해와 관련된 기사를 다 보여주시면서 제 사진을 올려놓고 사랑한다면 그들처럼이 황해가 아니길 바란다. 만약에 니네 현장에 이 사람이 나와 있으면 너희는 정말 큰 문제가 될 줄 알아라 라는 얘기를 했다는 얘기를 들었을 때 제일 무서웠어요.
I think when I was shooting the Yellow Sea in China, The Murderer, as it's known here, we wrote the script, but what we were really afraid to do was to actually show that script to the actual Chinese censors. So what we did is we created a separate melodrama script that had similar actors and similar scenes so that we could get a permit for shooting. And we did. We got the permit and it all came out. But then we actually had a visit from the secret police, again the censors, who showed us all these articles and a photo of me in the newspaper saying that we were shooting The Yellow Sea or The Murderer in China at the time. And the message was essentially, we hope you're not shooting The Yellow Sea now with the script that we gave you the permit for. And so when I heard this, I was actually really afraid.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Peut-être qu'il y a encore des questions dans le public. Zijn er nog vragen in het publiek?
C'est le moment, c'est l'instant.
Waarschijnlijk de laatste kans.
Sinon, well, we are in a genre festival. I'm sure you have noticed it. You have monsters lurking around every day, every night. So my question is about monsters. If you could be a monster, which one would you choose?
You're probably going to make me start. I already am my favorite monster, and it's Mr. Hyde.
Thank you. Monsieur Blanc.
Moi, je dois encore réfléchir. Je pense que Christian sait déjà, non? You already know. Yours.
I'd probably be the shark from Jaws. You know, he gets to eat.
That's not very nice.
Why?
You want to eat people?
You know how nice sharks are? Come on.
Okay, so one of the gremlins.
But after you eaten. After midnight. Okay.
The Gremlins, not the Mogwai.
It's funnier to watch movie and throwing popcorns and being bad.
Mr. Peric, Miss
I
Nana?
like more like Boris Karloff, Mummy. It's for me.
You might have to lose a little weight to play that role.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
we are 21st century Mummy.
잘 모르겠어요.
I'm not sure.
Nice one.
Okay, then it's your turn to sing then.
I have a question for both of our actors. You both became famous through quite popular series relatively recently. What does that do to you, and what kind of doors does that open for you? Where does that lead? And also, was the success something that was to be anticipated? Did you see it coming, or is it something that hit you very suddenly?
You can't walk down the street with Yoann for 2 minutes without people begging him for autographs. It's annoying.
Yeah, and the series. Well, I did a series, so now I'm in the international jury in the Beef. That's quite nice, no?
Yeah, that's the nice part, really. Traveling, going around the world, and that's Netflix. That's these digital platforms, you know, because I'm doing this for many years now, like maybe 15 years, and it just happened with Netflix 2 years ago, and it's just like all over the world, you know. And I've been in South America, I've been in Asia, and now I'm here, you know, traveling in Europe. And of course, you always forget that, you know, us as an actors, we are, like he said, this is the worst part of the movie crew, you know, because in the end they're all doing their job, you know, and if the movie gets successful, okay, but then you're the face, you know, and there's that big exposition that you're everywhere, and people think it's funny, you know, but it's not really funny, you know. For me, fame is just like a little bit boring, you know, taking selfie with people that I don't know, you know. I know.
So don't ask him for pictures, guys.
I mean, yeah, this was.
It's too bad. There is a signing session.
Yeah, but this is
just after the Q&A.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like, so you don't really expect that, you know. Could happen, but fast like this, that today is Netflix, it's just like amazing, you know. And on the other side, it's open you the doors that people knows you, then you meet the directors, producers, and people that want to work with you because they see your face. It's just like have both sides, you know. But me, I prefer to see positive, you know. So, and like Yoann said, it's like we are here, and so for me this is fantastic, you know. It's just.
Well, talking about the doors that opens because of the success, and I know that you said somewhere that you wanted to work internationally, that you from Serbia, ex-Yugoslavia, you work in Spanish production. Et pour vous, Monsieur Blanc, c'est vrai qu'il y a beaucoup de succès avec l'attrait. Vous avez parlé de votre expérience en Allemagne. Est-ce que vous envisagez de travailler aussi dans une carrière internationale? Do you think about working for American production, other kind of production with the success of La Casa de Papel?
Maybe Korean?
I mean, I'm an international actor, you know. I live in Spain for 15 years, but I'm not from Spain. I'm speaking like 4 languages every day. because my wife, she's from Romania. My son, we speak with him like Serbian, Romanian, then I speak Spanish, then I speak English, and also I understand French and Italian. And actually I have doing already things in Italy and France, and of course I would like to work in US, of course. I mean, I grew up with American movies, with all the movies Mr. Johnson was involved, you know. I grew up with that kind of movies, 80s, 90s, you know. So as an actor, of course.
Monsieur Blanc, pour vous?
Oui, c'est vrai que moi je tourne surtout en francophonie, so it is in Belgium or France or Switzerland. Et yeah, of course, why not to go abroad, of course.
Maybe for the directors, a question about actors. What kind of actor do you like? What is the quality you look for in an actor?
I like when they're larger than life. You know, I want them to basically demand attention. And there's just something that when you have a great actor in your casting and you cannot look away, that's when you know you found the part. So it's just that. It doesn't have to be about beauty or a specific way of talking. Even the different kind of acting styles I like. I don't have one acting style. You know, I even mix them up sometimes in the same movie, which not everybody likes. But as long as it's interesting, I love it. I love a lot of different people.
연기 들어가기 전에 이게 영화 연기라는 건 반복이잖아요. 편집을 위해서 반복을 해야 되는데 사실 배우가 연기를 할 때 이것을 계속 반복할 수 없겠다고 싶은 그런 연기가 있을 거 아니에요. 감정을 정말 난 단 한 번밖에 할 수 없는 그런 연기. 그런 연기를 하고 싶을 때 감독에게 난 이 한 컷밖에 못 가고 단 한 번밖에 연기를 못 하겠다고 솔직하게 말해주는 배우. 그래서 모든 셋업을 철수시키고 딱 그 한 컷만 집중해서 찍게 만들어주는 그런 배우. 그런 배우가 좋은 것 같아요.
I think that the most difficult thing for actors is that they need to be able to repeat scenes for the editing process. So there are really difficult scenes. There are hard scenes for actors, such as like scenes that are very emotional, that are very weighty and heavy. And the actor that I really appreciate and that I'm looking for is the actor who can say, I can only do this scene one time because it's too intense. And we're going to do it right the first time.
And just to tell that, you know, like most of the actors, that's the most complicated thing, you know, to do emotional thing. And now we are shooting the new season and we have like some really intense days, and I always remember this legend about Hitchcock you mentioned, like you have to do it like 70 times, you know, or Kubrick with, you know, and that's really hard. I think it's really hard. And then director, I prefer to work like with the directors. They are like, okay, do it as I tell you, and then propose, do as you want to do, and then find the middle, you know. And that's, for me, it's more correct, because of course all of us, we have the idea of how we have to look. Director is there to be, but you know, also as an actor you feel fulfilled if you, okay, I can propose you, and if you buy it, okay, if not, it's okay, let me do it. Yeah.
Do you expect a director to push you further or to give you more freedom, you would say?
Yeah, that depends as well, you know, because good director, he have a vision, really, like, so you can feel that. You can feel that on the set. And there's the directors, there's just like, okay, there's a DOP who is have his opinion, you know. That depends, you know, depends of the director. Of course, I like to propose as well, but depends of the director. There's the directors who's, okay, that's like that, and c'est ça, you know. And there's the director, okay, we have a script that's like a skeleton, so you do whatever you want. You know, so.
Well, you know what I think about that? I think that if you're a good director, your job is finished once you've cast the part.
Yeah, that's true as well. You know, you have a vision. That's what I'm thinking.
You know, regarding the acting.
Yeah.
Nobody told me that. I could have saved so much money and time.
You just heard it. You could.
You learn.
Just go home.
You're leaving. You're learning. You know.
Just don't tell the actors what to do. for me.
Well, about actors, you maybe not a director, but you work with a lot of actors. I wonder, who did you prefer to work on? I mean, to put your prosthetic and makeup on? Which actor?
Well, I actually almost killed Robin Williams on Bicentennial Man. We made a robot suit for him. And the one thing you don't want to do with a physical comedian like Robin Williams is you don't want to inhibit his movements. But on the same hand, I wanted to challenge myself and make the entire robot out of hard parts, so it was engineered like crazy. We actually ended up having to work with NASA to design the shoulders the same way they were designing their Mars exploration suits, because there's not one single soft part. It's all engineered to slide and move and expand, and there's bearings in it. And Robin was just such a good sport about it, because we had to bolt him into it. We had to perform his face. You know, we just came up with a shorthand where we would perform his face for him. And I used to joke with him, I'm saying, why do you want to wear this suit? Get a stuntman. And Robin, he knew that his physical capabilities of comedy wouldn't come out through another person. So I said, okay, I've got your next script. You just, we'll string you up on a tree, you'll wear a piñata suit, and we'll beat the crap out of you. A piñata, do you know what that means? My joke's not working here. A piñata suit. Beat the crap out of Robin Williams. Is this thing on?
It's working.
Est-ce qu'il y a encore des questions dans le public? C'est maintenant, c'est l'instant, parce que, voilà.
I get a question for Mr. Alvart. You said in the beginning of the Q&A that when you found out that somebody was making the movies you were watching, that it's like, okay, I want to do that. I want to be a director. If you could pick any movie you like or dislike, remake it and apply your own vision, which one would it be?
No, if I really love a movie, I don't want to remake it. I had, when I went to LA and just started there, I got a lot of remake scripts like Escape from New York and a ton of remake scripts. And if I love the movie, I cannot remake it. I think it's so great the way it is. So I usually only take remakes if I think it's a great concept but not a great movie, or if it's just a cult. Like I did 2 remakes of movies from Spain, which didn't translate that well to Germany, and they're not well known in Germany, so I did those. But if it's like, my favorite movie is Blade Runner in the world, and like every second of that film, even on all the different cuts, I love so many things about it, I would never touch it.
There is no movie that you dislike, or that a script that was maybe, according to you, not that well adapted, that you will say, I would love to have the chance to give my own vision to...
Yeah, no, there's sometimes concepts that I love that I think are wasted. Like someone has a great idea, like an awesome idea, and then the script is not good. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I had that idea and a good writer on it or something. But, you know, I can't publicly say, obviously, which ones that are.
Thank you.
You can, too.
Il y avait une autre question dans la salle, il me semble.
La dernière question, parce que we're running out of time, so it's going to be the last question, actually.
The last question, puisqu'on arrive à la fin du Q&A tout doucement.
Ce serait une question pour Steve Johnson. Donc,
oui, monsieur, bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Je voulais savoir votre ressenti. Est-ce que vous avez apprécié de travailler sur Predator?
Did you enjoy working on Predator?
Yes, it's my favorite movie I've ever worked on. What are you talking about? You obviously know the story. You gotta know it.
De quoi vous parlez là en fait? Parce que c'est clairement, vous savez, vous provoquez quelque chose de...
Par rapport au prototype avec Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Regarding the prototype with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, my God, I just did 3 hours of interviews and everybody wants to hear about that. I'm going to make it short. Yes, they came to me, John McTiernan and 20th Century Fox came to me to make a Predator suit for Jean-Claude Van Damme with mechanically extended arms, mechanically extended head and neck, mechanically extended legs, and they said, we want to shoot this in the jungles of Mexico. And I said, it's not going to work. And they said, but we're paying you to make it work. And I said, but it's not going to work. And so I made it, and they fired me. Are you satisfied? Are you happy now? You made me publicly tell that story.
La version brève de l'histoire, John McTiernan vient le chercher, vient le trouver pour faire un costume pour Jean-Claude Van Damme pour Predator, avec des bras mécaniques, nuque extensible, mécanique, etc., pour filmer au Mexique dans des conditions humides. Il dit, ça va pas être possible. Il dit, ben si, on va le faire quand même. il le fait, ça marche pas, il est viré. Voilà, fin de l'histoire.
Voilà.
We ending this Q&A in pretty short time, so maybe the last questions for tonight for all of you. The next project, of course, what are you working on? Of course, A Casa del Papel et la Trêve, but maybe there is something else already in your agenda, and for you guys.
I'm retired, so
Yeah, but you do other things.
I do a lot of things. I've been enjoying teaching. I'm writing. I'm traveling, and I do take projects occasionally when I trust that the producer and the director are not going to be total out of their mind maniacs, but they always are. So that's why I don't work anymore.
But what do you write? Because I think it's about your experience as a...
Yes, Rubberhead, Sex, Drugs, and Special Effects, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's a series of 5 books. Volume 1 did really well, came out 2 years ago. Volume 2 is about to come out, but I can't sell anymore until it goes into a reprint, and Volume 2 is not available yet.
Monsieur Blanc?
I will start a movie next week, the new movie of Olivier Van Hofstadt in Paris called Lucky, and then I'll go on another movie in June of Naël Manondrin, and so I'll do 2 next movie. Okay.
Donc il y a quand même des choses avec la trêve en plus.
Oui, beaucoup.
I'm in post-production right now on a movie called Freies Land, which means free country, and that's a remake from La Isla Minima from Spain, translated to the German after reunification. So that's coming out, and then I'm really hoping to get Django with Franco Nero. Yeah,
Django Divers, something like that.
Django Lives. Yeah. It's a great script and by John Sayles, and Franco Nero is on board, but we still need some of the money, so I don't know, but this might be my next one.
Mr. Now?
저 그냥 뭐가 될지 모르는 시나리오 계속 쓰고 있고요. 지금 한 몇 년째 쓰고 있는데 그냥 써봐야지 뭐가 나올지 알 것 같고요. 여기저기서 책들 주시는데 그 책을 하게 될지 어떻게 될지는 모르겠습니다. 하여튼 열심히 해서 빨리 찾아뵙겠습니다.
So I've been spending the past several years writing, and I don't know exactly what will come out as the final result, but I just have to keep writing to see what it is that comes out. So I'm following that process all the way till the end, and I received a lot of good books, recommendations from people, so I'm doing a lot of reading as well.
For me, shooting Casa de Papel really opened lots of doors, so I have quite a lot of projects. But now till August, I'm shooting the new season. So after that, I have a movie in France, one in Italy, and when he said Django, that's one of my favorite movies, especially with Franco Nero.
You should join us then.
Yeah, it's like, I just talked with one of the directors from Spain. We need to make a zombie western after seeing the Jarmusch, trailer for the Jarmusch. We said, come on, we have to make a zombie western, So I'm really a huge fan of western movies, especially spaghetti westerns, it's like my favorite
And you
genre.
definitely have to meet after this Q&A.
It's funny because the project comes from America through my American agent, and they didn't know this, but they called me and said, are you at all interested in possibly doing the sequel to the classic Django? I said, you called maybe the one director in the world who named his kid Django. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So, and they were like, okay, and it was a love fest from there.
No, it's really, when I heard that, because I was supposed 3 years ago to shoot a western movie in Spain with Franco Nero, but he could not do it, and then producer and director went demented, so they fired everybody and they do something completely different, But yes, so I have quite a few projects for the next few years.
Member of the jury at the BIF is also open doors.
So you've been a very lovely jury. It's been a great Q&A, and I hate to break it to you, but it's time for some selfies and some signing right now. Sorry. But it's been really lovely to talk to you, and we wish you the best with the films that you're going to watch and the judging and the rest of the festivals. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. Merci.
Avant que la séance de signature commence, je vais me permettre de vous présenter Tegan Peak. So this is Tegan Peak. She's an artist and she wanted to offer you some necklaces. So she's gonna come and give you some gifts. It's for you. I wanted to thank you all very much for being here. And I hope you are going to enjoy this experience and that you're going to come back very soon. I have, during the same time, I'm going to give you some gifts. So don't move. And then, I'm going to take 5 minutes for that. And then people can come and ask you for signatures. So I have this year serigraphy that I wanted to offer you, each one of you. So this is this year's poster, the festival poster. I'm gonna. Excuse-moi, Tegan, je vais passer. So this is the festival's poster of this 37th festival, numbered and signed by the author, and the festival is very proud and very honored to give you an example. So this is. Do you have it? Okay. Thank you, Steve. You're an angel.
Some angel for you.
Some angel.
Did you just got this poster or what? I didn't ask.
One. There is one for each one of you, and also. I have the Book of the Dead of the festival that if you can sign, that would be great, that would be an honor. If you can sign our Book of the Dead, maybe you can begin, Yoann. That is the book that everyone signs. And I also have for you, last but not least, some beer for you, our local beer, la cuvée des trolls, one for each one. Steve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much again, and I hope to see you soon at the festival. Thank you. And now, the signatures.
Maybe you can. Yes. Very sweet. And I saw him in theater. Great. Thank you. Oh, it means something else. I love the song. Which one? It was another, nothing. When I read it, it was like whatsoever. And then it changed. Okay. So much. I was a huge fan. You know, I went to sure. My voice. That day, I saw the name of a guy who did the voice. They found somebody who got
Of course it's Sasha. Some autograph for you. Would you like it to be signed to Bridget? And where? Down here? Bridget, everyone spells their name so differently here in Europe. See, I didn't do that though. That's not my work. What? That's not my work, but I'll sign it. No. That might be from Species 3. I didn't do Species 3. I'm going to sign it anyway. But it's shitty work. I'll sign this one as better. This is great. I like this. Would you like me to sign it to your name? Just me? Just my name. Self-portrait. Hey man, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. No, I heard that Roman is not here.
I've never seen this. Where did this come from?
I think it's a Photoshop.
Shall I sign it? Oh,
No, just silver ink. Shall I sign it to your name? Come on.